Hi, Tom here. In this week's Circular and Optical video, I'll show you one way to draw a 3D polyhedron. The first step in this drawing is to draw a grid of squares, or you could use some square grid paper, and then draw a hexagon in the middle of the paper. For this drawing, it's best to count the number of squares that are needed. This hexagon is in a 4x4 square. Two of the lines of the hexagon are the length of two squares, and four of the lines of the hexagon are the length of the diagonal of two squares. Next, from all the points of the hexagon, you could draw a series of lines going clockwise. The first line is 2 squares long and a horizontal line. The next line is the diagonal length of 2 squares. And the third line is also the diagonal length of 2 squares. The fourth line is 2 squares long as another horizontal line. And then the last two lines are the diagonal length of 2 squares. With this sort of drawing, it's best not to rush and to keep checking the lines are correct in relation to the square grid that you're using. Next, from the ends of each of the lines that we've just drawn, draw a series of new lines. The first line is the length of the diagonal of 2 squares. The second line is a vertical line of 2 squares. The next line is a diagonal length of 2 squares. The fourth line is another diagonal length of 2 squares. The fifth line is a vertical line of 2 squares. And the last line is a diagonal line of 2 squares. Next, we can draw another series of lines. The first line is the diagonal length of 2 squares, as is the second line. The third line is a horizontal line of 2 squares. The fourth and fifth line are the diagonal length of 2 squares. And then the last line is the horizontal length of 2 squares. Now we can add a series of more lines. This time we're adding lines to create diamonds which are coming off the original hexagon that we drew. All of these lines are echoes of the first lines that we drew coming off the hexagon. So now you have a hexagon with 6 diamonds with extension lines to them. Next, we can draw a series of connecting lines. The first line is the width of 2 squares. The second 2 lines are the diagonal length of 2 squares. The fourth line is the width of 2 squares. And the fifth and sixth line are the diagonal length of 2 squares. So at this stage, again, it's good just to check the drawing. When you're ready, we can draw 2 more lines to create a square, which is 2 by 2. The next square that we can draw is also 2 by 2, but it's 2 by 2, the length of 2 diagonal squares by the length of 2 diagonal squares. The third square that we can draw is also the length of 2 diagonal squares by the length of 2 diagonal squares. The fourth square is just a 2 by 2 square, like the first square that we drew. And then there'll be 2 more squares, which will be the diagonal length of 2 squares on each side. Again, it's good just to check your drawing and make sure that all the lines are in place in relation to the grid that is behind them. Next, we can draw a series of 6 diamonds. The first one is made by 2 lengths of the diagonals of 2 squares. Then the next diamond is the length of the diagonal of 2 squares, and then the horizontal line of 2 squares at the base. The third diamond is a horizontal line of 2 squares at the base, and then the diagonal length of 2 squares on the left-hand side. For the next diamond, the lengths are the diagonal length of 2 squares for each side of the diamond. The next diamond after that is the diagonal length of 2 squares, and then the horizontal length of 2 squares. And then we have one more diamond to place the horizontal length of 2 squares and diagonal length of 2 squares. And now we have a series of 6 more diamonds made out of 2 lines each. Notice which lines are the length of the diagonal of 2 squares, and also notice which lines are just the length of 2 squares. I think it helps with this sort of drawing to also look at not just the detail that you're doing, but all of the other shapes, and then you can see how the new shape that you're drawing fits in with all the others to make this interesting pattern. Now there are only 12 more lines to complete the drawing. The first series of 2 lines are the diagonal length of 2 squares. The second 2 lines, the first of the second 2 lines, is a vertical line of 2 squares, followed by the diagonal line of 2 squares. The third diamond shape is the diagonal of 2 squares, followed by the horizontal line of 2 squares. And then we have a diamond made out of 2 diagonal lines of 2 squares. And then another diamond with one line, which is the vertical line of 2 squares, and then the diagonal line of 2 squares. And then at the top on the left, we have the last diamond, which is the diagonal line of 2 squares on the left, and then a horizontal line of 2 squares at the top. Next, you could add some shading to your drawing to make it look more three-dimensional and solid. This will take some time. For this drawing, I just used a 4B pencil, side of a 4B pencil, and because I drew the grid as a pencil lines, I could erase them where I no longer need the grid lines. And with the shading, I just use it's best to use the side of the pencil and create some soft shading, and then slowly you can build up the shading layer by layer to get the tonal range that you wish. If you'd like to find out more details on my first book, which is a step-by-step guide to drawing optical illusions, please see the link in the video description. Thanks for watching and see you next time.